Hey everyone, and welcome back. We are going to be talking about cards and how we came up with these variants. Now, this is one of the more harder components to deal with, and we're going to jump right in. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab all these cards. I'm going to grab our text cards, and I'm going to grab our product cards, and I'm going to copy those and bring those over to show you some of that process. So, as I said before, we were working through a lot of these designs, and I liked using these colors for like featured product cards. I had secondary cards that I started finalizing. As you can see, I started adding like reviews. I started cleaning up the text a bit, just as you can see here, and making sure the sizes were nice. I had some images that I was just throwing in there really quickly. Also started thinking about different scenarios with cards. Are we stacking them in certain ways sometimes? What does it look like when they're in the cart? Or what does it look like when they're just like search results like this? So I basically did all this type of fidelity exploration, and also looked into, building up that fidelity in other ways in regards to having like these different types of product or interest cards, and these types of like notices or larger cards that we can see throughout the app. So these are not perfect by any means, and you can build upon these components. These are not components, but you can build upon my components. I've also thought about like the cards and how you can use them in the onboarding, and these other ones that I was working on, I cleaned them up quite a bit and made them, a little bit more polished. And then I decided to, jump into the component creation stage. And when it comes to product cards, like I said, very, very complex. So if I just take one as an example and just illustrate how this is made. So let's get into it. Now we have a variance. Let me just explain the variance. To start off, we have a featured card, we have a small card, we have a list item card, which is going to be like something that you see in a search result, and then we have one that will be in a order. So you'll see a card with like maybe some destination or a shipping label or something like that. So you have all these versions of cards. Let's go back to the ones that we see often. Now I have a lot of properties here. You can change the product's name, like I just did over here. You can take off the image, and then you can set the card to hug its contents. So you can do a bunch of different things. If you don't like the way the card is built, you can turn off some of these things. You can turn off the ability to add that card to your wish list. You can add more product info, which is like this kind of secondary description. And then you can, put the price content in as well. So these are going to be some of your main component properties. Now let's talk about the actual structure. So I have a little icon container at the top, and that is just set. There's really nothing in here. It just holds this icon and shifts it to the right. Same with this image container, really simple. I just set a container for a rectangle inside, and this container has just a vertical padding of 12 pixels, so that way the images don't expand too much, and the image itself is within like that rectangle container. And literally you can swap that image really easily. In here, I have an information container, and as you can tell, like even my naming conventions are really, really strict. I'm basically describing like icon container, image container, and so on. And then I have the other types of details. So I have like my information container, and then within there, I have like product details, and then I have the product name and product info, and then I have a price. And I would rename your layers so that way they're nice and consistent, and then you can easily just attach those to those properties that you need to. Same thing with the other variants. They're basically using the same structure. Instead, with this one, with the information container, I do have the ability to have product info in here, so you can't really turn that off and on. I've just hidden it in this variant, but you can go ahead and change that within the design. I've also added a review as well. And it's basically the same structure. So you can take a look at the structure for yourself as well. The cart cards, the reason why they aren't a variant, because they are so different. The only thing that they really share is like the image, the name, and the price. Aside from that, like visually, they're not really anything close to that. And you have like two different versions here. You have the version where it's deleted and not deleted. So it definitely, takes a bit of time getting used to this one. So you can go like that, and then you can grow it. So that is how this item works. And then we have the category cards. So I just have two variations here. Basically, this one's a little bit more complex because you have the button container at the bottom, and then you can hide that top container. You can hide the other icon container. So if you want to use this as like, add this, like this interest, and have like an image of like a book and say something like reading that we've seen in some of our designs here, or let's see, it's right here. You can add like fashion and have like sunglasses or something like that. So giving you a lot of flexibility with this card, using it in like two ways. One with in this way where maybe it's like a category card, or like adding an interest, or also just text-based cards. So definitely easy to use in that regard. But let's jump to the other version. So when you're in your account, you have these versions. You can just have the card label, and then you have the instance for the icon. So anything like account details, like related payment methods, shipping or addresses, and so on. Definitely really easy to use once again. And then I have the informative cards. So I have two versions. I wanted to have just a white version for like the search page. And that is where, that you have no results, and maybe, hey, you're searching for this. Did you mean musical? Or, there was no results for music. So still need to throw that into those designs. But here is your actual card that I like using. You can swap like you can take out the buttons, you can take out like the body copy if you want. You can put in your headline copy. You can take out your headline and your image, and then you can specify the type. So that is how you use these cards. You can even go into your image container over here and set the instance for the illustration if you want. I have a bunch of different illustrations available to you as well as components. And basically that is how the cards came to be. As you can tell now, they're much more consistent. Even past this stage, I've cut out a lot of these colors, and now we're just, we have like basically three different variations of cards, keeping that design language simple and easy to understand. And that is how we created cards.